Hey everybody, it's Curt Maly here again. Hey, I'm with my good friend, Mr. Jon Benson, right over here. So you may have seen John if you've been online for a couple of years or into this internet marketing thing, online marketing. If you've been around longer than just a couple of years, you definitely know who John is. So let me give you kind of just a little bit of backstory with John. So first of all, a lot of people have seen these types of videos that you see online with these headline things, and they're just mesmerizing, and you just stare at them, and all of a sudden 30, 40, 50 minutes later, you're like, oh my goodness, I can't believe I was staring at headlines and I bought something.
Right.
John over here actually invented that process, like created that overall process. He was the first one that kind of put that video out. But the way that that actually happened was actually more of a longer story, a little bit more we're going to talk about here. I mean, hands down, I have to say this, and anybody who gets to know John personally, he's hands down one of the smartest people that I know. The way that his brain works is amazing. I spent some time out at your house out in Malibu. I mean, we talked about quantum physics. We talked about health. We talked about Facebook. Like, right. Oh my goodness, it was a ton of fun.
Yeah.
But you really see where the industry has gone a lot. And when I say the industry, when John started out, he was a bodybuilder starting out at 17, starts his first business. He found this, you read about all this in his sales letter. Gets fat, happy, has a heart attack at 38, figures, oh my goodness, I got to start really changing my business. Not only have you changed the industry with copy, but what we're going to start getting into here, John, is you are, I mean, just to be clear, $14 billion industry that was created by using this video sales letter process. That's just a process.
Yeah.
A little bit, we're going to talk about actually automating that entire thing, going into artificial intelligence.
Yes.
And John, I can't tell you, thank you for being here. Like, this is a selfish interview because, oh my goodness, I have tons of questions, but I am super excited as everybody gets to know you even more. So again,
thanks for having me, bro.
I appreciate you being here.
Yeah, my pleasure.
Okay, let's talk about some fun stuff here real quick. So video sales letter, I'm pretty sure almost everyone's seen one at one point or another. I am kind of curious. Some people kind of have heard this story, but I want all people to hear this. Where did the idea for this video sales letter come from? You're writing copy, and then did YouTube come out and you're like, hey, I want to turn this into a video? Or like, how did that copy cross over to that video sales letter?
No, it wasn't anything that strategic. It wasn't anything that smart on my part. It was just sheer blind luck combined with some of the background that I came from out of college. In college, I got fascinated with NLP and started studying with a friend of mine that studied with Richard Bandler. So I never took it officially, but I got the concept of it pretty quickly. And I just started playing around with it in relationships, and then at first for nefarious reasons, and then later on for good reasons. But I was like, okay, this actually works, and this is pretty cool. I'm going to kind of put that in my brain and use it for later. And then my first business out of college was I started an ad agency, and I was doing more graphic design at first, and then it kind of evolved into an ad agency. And in the ad agency world, at that time in the 90s, everything was black and red. I mean, you see all these ads and it's like the most powerful tested copy over and over again. You can read this in any kind of, old ad stuff like Mad Men. Look back at Mad Men. You can see it's all black or it's black and red, right? Mm-hmm. And so I was writing copy badly. I wasn't a professional copywriter. I was just a fitness guy. And I had a good luck with my first book, but I didn't write the copy for it. So I had to write the copy for my second book, and it sucked. I mean, I couldn't make, I'd send out an email, make 6 sales, and my email list was pretty big. And I was like, man, I'm doing something way wrong. I can write, but I must not know how to write copy. And my friend Mike Geary was like, I was talking to him about this, and he goes, man, there's a guy I saw the other day that did this. He did a PowerPoint presentation as a video. And so I looked at his PowerPoint presentation. It literally looked like a PowerPoint presentation with the ugly backgrounds. And, it looked just like what you'd see in an office setting. And I watched a few seconds of it. I was like, okay, I got it. Not that big of a deal. I was like, I don't want to do that. I don't know anything about PowerPoint. I said, but what if you took that and combined it with NLP and combined it with just this black and red format, and I could make the NLP command terms, just the various languages that we use in NLP, the commands, the future pacing, these kind of things that we would use. We make those words red so that we kind of stick out. Because I know that once you see something and hear something, the retention goes way up. So I'm like, what's the worst that can happen? It can't get any worse. And so I made like a 5-minute, we didn't call it a VSL back then. I made a 5-minute video of this and me talking, and sent that out to my list. And my sales went up 6 times over higher than normal. I was like, hey, this may work for like a longer version. So I created the very first VSL for Every Other Day Diet, which is the name of this book. And within a month, I'm not kidding, within a month, we had people spending $1 million a month on traffic on this thing, which was insane at the time. I mean, and it just took off. I mean, it just like, it was like, I don't know. I didn't know exactly why it all worked. I had to go back later after I'd written 3 or 4 more. The next one I wrote was Truth About Abs, which is still the control. Mike still hasn't been able to beat that one. And then I did Pimsleur. I did the voice and some editing on the first Pimsleur VSL. And it just kind of went down the line. People were calling me, hey, could you do this VSL? And next thing you know, I became a copywriter. So that's kind of how all that happened. And I got good at copy through understanding the structure of reverse engineering of why that works so well. And then I could translate it to sales pages and things like that. So.
I don't think I've ever heard that story before. So where did, and remind me, because I want to say the 4th product I ever bought online was yours. It's not Copy Pro because that's the new, what was the original one?
3X VSL. It was 3X VSL.
3X VSL.
Yeah.
So for everyone so everything that Jon's talking about here, and I want to find out more about this, how you actually did it, but he turned it into basically a program, 3X VSL, that Nick and I purchased for $2,000 many years ago. And essentially what it did is everything that you said, it taught you almost in a template, not a where it's just, you just fill in like a Word doc template and like you got to change 80%, but you would fill this in and he's like, okay, you're going to do this here, you're going to do this here. So our video for social media in 7 minutes didn't really work out so well, made tens of $20s of dollars. But then we bought Jon's product. We created Social Media Ad Genius. And a lot of people remember our video sales letter. Hey, this is a meatball. What does a meatball have to do with it? Jon teaches this.
I say it here, it comes out there.
We made our first $1 million online because of Jon's structure. I met Jon at an Evan Pagan event where I walked up and Jon made his little presentation. And I'm like, just want to let you know I made over $1 million with your product. Just want to say thank you. Like to meet you sometime, but just want to say thank you. Yeah. So how did you build that first rendition? Because all these words, how they go together is just brilliant in my mind. I'm like, how do you go to 3XL to what we're going to talk about next? Like,
how I did it was just grunt work. It was like, I didn't know anything about PowerPoint or Keynote. So Keynote wasn't even in my radar back then. So PowerPoint, I got that out and had to learn PowerPoint. And at the very first one, the one I did that was only a few minutes long was actually done in like, it wasn't ScreenFlow, but it was a document, maybe it was Camtasia, but it was like literally fonts in there. And it was just, I would read what's on the slide and click next. And it was pretty ugly. It was really ugly. And yeah, and the versions after that were like, okay, I need to learn how to do this. And so I would hire people to do the PowerPoint part of it. But I would always do the reading because I knew how to read with inflection and just kind of came naturally to me to do that part of it. So yeah, that's how that happened. And it just took off from there. And then when I made what 3X VSL became Accelerator, and I still don't like that name, but that took off because it became like the go-to course to learn this, from the guy that started, but also it's incredibly detailed. It's not like, Ryan Dice had a course on it and his was like $197 and it was a good starter, big ideas, but I taught Ryan. So I literally drove down to Austin and taught Ryan. And yeah, this one is very, as you know, like it's every single slide, every single thing. And with multiple versions of copy, you can use that. So that became really pretty popular. And then that sparked what we're going to talk about next, because people said, hey, wouldn't it be cool if you could do email with this? I was like, yeah, right. Like every email would be different. It's like, are you insane? And it's like, and then I started thinking, well, maybe there is a way to do this. And that became, that maybe if there is a way to do this, some 4 or 5 years ago became CopyPro.
So you can tell me if I'm exaggerating this number, but I think I remember this when I was at your house in Malibu and we were hanging out, we were talking for a little bit. I remember when I first started I was using your first program, it really felt like I got access inside of your brain to where I'm like, oh my goodness, I really understand this. I know you don't have an agency now, but if someone was to hire you at one point or another, isn't it like a $50,000 base and then you're going to take points on top of that? So I want to help people quantify when we're talking about your copy. This isn't cheap copy that sold a couple of things. Like,
right.
If you were to write a VSL for someone today, what would you charge? I'm just curious.
I only wrote one last year, and that was by choice because I do nothing but work with CopyPro. I wrote a sales letter for my friend John Rowley, who was going through a serious illness at the time, and that was free, but because we just wanted to help him out. But I wrote a VSL, and David Deutsch was great for that, by the way. But I wrote a VSL for Onnit because it was on it. It was like a way to get close to Joe Rogan. And when I say close to Joe Rogan, I mean in the business sense. But
Absolutely, absolutely.
but it's like, hey, if I can get one step closer to Joe Rogan, one of my dreams of being on the Rogan Experience will be lived. And it was my friend Josh Bozzoni reached from BioTrust that reached out and said, hey, can you do this for those guys? And knowing that I don't have to write the closes, it's 50 grand to do that, and for everyone else, it's 100 grand. So
just FYI, because John says this very quickly, Josh Bozzoni has a $100 million plus supplement company.
Yeah.
Some of the other people we're talking about, I mean, these are large companies. So thank you for equating that. Now, just one small thing in here, by the way, if you're enjoying the interview, remember, I don't sell any of these interviews whatsoever. You can either pick up the belt, join open enrollment right now, you get access to all these interviews, or if you do business with John, because what we're going to talk about next is Copywriter Pro, or Copy Pro, sorry. Oh my goodness. We use this. I bought this. My copywriter uses it. Itai loves this. This is not templates. I'm not going to use another product name. What I'm going to compare this to is there are tricycles where you like fill in these template things, and there are Ferraris, and there is nothing in between right now. Yeah. And what John's about ready to talk about, like, this isn't a marketing word. This will revolutionize the industry just to be clear, if you're just starting out, there's an opportunity there. If you're a little bit more advanced with with copy, there's an opportunity there. And right now the economy is a little crazy. So if you have an ad agency or you know how to write copy, oh my goodness, you'll find out all the details here in a second, but you can go to thebelt.live. So thebelt.live/Jon, Jon-B, just put Jon-B. We'll lead you to everything else that you need to see, like everything else. But John, you've been working on this for years. Like I said, one of my smartest friends that I have, you only did one project last year because all you did is focus on this thing here. Right. Will you please show everyone what the future of a copy seriously looks like?
Sure. Yeah, I can show it to you, or I can tell you, or I can do both. So
you are a master with words, sir. So I will leave the talking up to you.
I will explain it, and then I'll show you guys a live demo of this, because this has been around for now online for 2 years. But I'm also going to give you a sneak peek into what no one's seen yet, and that's what we see as the absolute future of copy. But so imagine if you had at your disposal 40 of the greatest copywriters in the world, the guys that have done billions of dollars in sales, and they were all in a virtual cloud. And you could pretty much tap them for, I need a great webinar registration thing. Should I use what I write, or should I use what Jason Fladlin used to sell $10 million on one webinar? I don't know. Which one do you think, maybe I should just try it myself, right? At what point do you declare yourself insane if that's the choice you choose? I'm going to do it the masochistic way and just write all this myself. And it takes so long to do. That's part of the fun. If you think that way, then this definitely isn't for you. But if you want to go like, no, I think I'll use Todd Brown's multiplier sequence to get more sales after the webinar, or Ryan Dice's digital marketer, the whole machine series to do everything from nurture my customers after I get them to sell them flash sales to do, quick closes. If you're talking about like the best in the world inside one machine, what would that do for your business? If you have to start with the presupposition that copy is the most important thing in your business by far when it comes to marketing. There's not anything else that's close to it.
So John, I don't mean to interrupt you. I'm going to stop you for a second. This is one of the things that I talk about in the Belt presentation all the time that a lot of people miss out on. I like to call it the ugly baby. And this is one of the reasons that I wanted to have you here, because so many times what people do is they'll come to me and they're like, hey, Curt, I got a great idea. Great. Did you research it? Did you go through everything that you know in copy? And they have a big idea, but that's it. And what happens is a lot of times they're like, man, Facebook, Google, YouTube, none of this works. Well, no, it's because you have an ugly baby. You don't want to admit it. And many times the offer is bad. Or on the other side of it is they may have a great offer. And I don't say this lightly, but like the cure for cancer. I know you can't say that online, but the cure for cancer. Yeah. But if you can't articulate the idea well enough for someone to understand what you're going to give them as a benefit, they'll never take the pill anyway. So many times I'll run traffic for people, and this is why I'm so excited about what you're ready to say next. I just want to preface this. So many times I'll talk to people and I'll be like, man, you have, again, just to make up the widget, you have the cure for cancer? That's amazing. Who wrote the copy? Like, we can change lives. And they're like, well, my sister's cousin one time wrote for the Gazette. And I'm like, you can literally help the world, but you can't articulate it. So I can't tell you how excited I am about what John's ready to go over, because most of the failures either happen with us running ads, not the ad fault, because I mean, honestly, it's never my fault, but no, it's the copy or it's the offer. And I think this will revolutionize the way that people run ads, because the offer and copy gets a lot better. So I didn't mean to interrupt. I just wanted to really emphasize there, John, because this is very excited about this. Sorry.
I will parenthetically add something to my own statement here after I heard yours, and that is, I'm going to show you something that is literally a superpower if you possess it. It's that kind of a difference maker in people's businesses. So that being said, you can use a superpower for good or evil, and you could sell an ugly baby product with this if you wanted to. You could, the copy's that good, right? But we're urging you not to sell the ugly baby, because especially during this time of where we're going through this right now with the whole COVID-19 at the forefront of all of our thoughts, it's more important than ever to sell ethical products, because there's a lot of scammers out there and all that stuff. So I say that I'm going to give you a weapon here, and you can use it for mass destruction or mass benefit. It's completely up to you. So that being said, try to have a pretty baby that you sell.
I'm going to turn off my camera so everyone can see this, because I got face radio. This is going to be great. Thank you, John.
All right. So I am going to click over here and dive in here. Now, this is live now. It's been live for several years. Thousands of clients, and we've got our partners are Digital Marketer, Kajabi, Rapid Crush, Agora. We've got some really good guys that have contributed to this, and that's just a small sampling of the copy and the contributions that people have made generously to build this project. So I want you to think of Copy Pro as not just your copywriter in the cloud, but a team of copywriters in the cloud and the world's largest copy repository of just fantastically vetted and proven copy. It's not one guy or one girl writing this stuff. Now, I've got a lot of my copy in here as well, but we're all the A-list guys. So, the competitors, if you can want to call them that, I mean, it's usually one person writing templates and things of that nature. I'm not going to take that. I'm going to take things that are from the best in the world. Like, for example, I'll give you a great example of what I'm about to show you. I'm the world's greatest webinar guy. That's not me. I'm probably one of the world's greatest VSL guys. So when you get to my VSL upsell scripts, you can bet that they work really well because I know what I'm doing, right? But you don't know that's going to be true if you go to, fill in the blank scripts or whatever product is going to be trying to compete with it. So we kind of set ourselves apart in the world in that way. And I'll show you something that's coming up in the next version of this, which isn't going to change your user experience, but it's going to, except for making it a lot better, but it's going to change the way that all of copywriting is done. So how easy is this? I can come in here and say, I need an email sequence to, and I'll just type in, I want to promote a webinar. If I can spell promote. Or I'm going to say, hey, promote a VSL. Since I'm the VSL guy, I click search, and I've already got 30 different sequences I can choose from. I can choose from any of these that I want. I can just scroll through here, I can look at all of them if I want to. I can read the descriptions of them. And I can say, okay, I could use a countdown sequence. I could use digital marketers, join me congratulating sequence. I could use the goodwill sequence. I could use any of these sequences that I want to use, right? So I'm going to use Rapid Crush. That's the VSL promotion side. So I'll use that and say VSL demo. And by the way, I'm going to turn off my camera too. Give me 1 second, guys. This is me going back over to Zoom and turning off my camera so that you don't have to look at my face. There we go. Now, I've got a niche already built. I've got a lot of them already built. If I didn't, I'd use a quick start. I'd go, okay, well, I'd look over here and see that I've got 30 or 40 popular niches to pull from. Or if I want to learn copy, and if you're a copywriter, you may want to start from scratch, because this is going to teach you more about copy than you ever thought you wanted to learn, while you're not knowing that you're being taught anything. You're just, as far as you're aware, you're just selecting verbs and filling out fields and getting prompts and things of that nature. But in reality, we're coaching you how to write like a kick-ass rock star. So I'll use one of my own niches that's already done, and I'll use a weight loss niche as that is part of my business. And I will click finish. And so rather than having to write something from scratch, I can spend about 10 seconds and do what you just saw. And I now have the exact days to send this out, the exact times to send this out, exactly what I need to do for this exact sequence. And I've got some of the best copy ever written to promote webinars. Now I'm just clicking through here just to show you. And I can go in here and say, look, you know what? I say weight loss too much. So let's go fat burning here. See, Copy Pro is really intuitive. It knows how to make things sound like a human being. Owning a happy dog or doesn't bite. I use this in our demo because I go, wait, I know all this works for Copy Pro, but what about owning a happy dog that doesn't bark or bite? Oh, I don't know how that got in there. I could just delete it. So if I delete that, X out of it, regenerate it, the whole thing's just going to rewrite itself based on other things. Now, you just saw the entire email rewrite itself. So I've got the same email. It didn't change, right? But I was able to rewrite it instantaneously And now it pulls in all these other variables. So I can just keep doing that until I get the one thing that I like the most. And here it is. So I've got an email that's just ready to go. And all I have to do, I click preview and hit copy. And there's not going to be much editing that you need to do for this. Now, we'd love for you to edit to your own liking and get your own words and voice in there. But this is what these fields are for. You can put your own words and voices inside these fields every day you want it, anytime you want to do it. And but if you want to rewrite some of this, that's great. If you don't like that, you just click regenerate. Again, you can just keep rewriting things. So it's just kind of a great way of doing this. That way it keeps it super fresh for people. And you can see I got the whole thing ready to go. And then I get down to the end of the spectrum. I'm ready to go. So
John, just to interject here for just a second, because here's what I'm seeing on here that I mean, I've seen this lots of times and I get more and more impressed every time that I see it. So I know a lot of times that people get writer's block. So it's like, how do I even come up with some of the copy? So just to fill in the blank here is amazing. The other thing that you said pretty quickly, I just want everybody to really take in is please, 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 as John's giving the demo, read over the actual copy. Don't just skim it. You're going to realize that this, like, I don't even want to say other words to compare this to, because it's not like where you see a bunch of words thrown on the screen that you really have to pay attention to fix. Like, what I see here is John, basically when Itai writes copy for us and sends out emails, I use those emails for long form posts. Those long form posts on social media turn into some of our best ads. I can see how I can get lots of different stories to turn me out lots of different ad creative copy, let alone the email stuff. This is really, really great, John.
Yeah. I can just keep going through here and just I'd click and pop in a few things. And what Copywriter will do sometimes, by the way, is what it's doing here is it's like, are you sure you want to use this URL? And this is what we do. Are you sure you want to keep using the same CTA? Okay, so I'm going to use the same URL. Okay, that's great. But make sure it is the right URL. I might have 3 different products. But let's say I want to change this URL. Let's say I wanted to edit this, right? Watch it now. Let's look at some other ones. Okay, I'll say like get it now before it's too late. Watch it right now. This is video sales letter. Okay, that's great. Let's use watch it right now. That's even better. So I can do this. And now, as you can see, it just helps humanize the copy, but also I can add new call to actions. And so it spurs you on to like, oh, let me think of a different way to doing this. Because you may have attended a conference where people were saying, you know what's really working for me right now is when I tell people to go do this right now. Then you come in here and you go, oh, I want to change all that to go do this right now. And you do that, you click one button, it changes everywhere. Or you could say, go do this right now. That's a really good one. Okay, that's awesome. So, or watch this, well, watch it now. That's really awesome. Or if I want to create a new one, I can come down here and create a new one. So it's a really powerful system to allow you to build on top of words that we've already provided. Now, I just did one very, very quick thing. If I wanted to, I could take Copy Pro and create an entire sales letter. I could create an entire webinar, like an hour-long webinar, including the teaching material. And all the teaching material has been, what we do really well is we teach people how to compartmentalize and break down their ideas. So the teaching segment inside our webinar, for example, and inside our long-form VSLs is a great way to help you crystallize what you're trying to say. Like, we ask questions you wouldn't have thought of because we're copywriters, okay? So we'll ask you a question and go, oh, I didn't think of it this way, and you fill in the answer. And next thing you know, you've got a webinar or a sales letter or a Facebook ad. Let's do that. A Facebook ad where it looks fantastic. I'm not gonna have to worry about saving this. It's just a demo. But let's say I came down here and I said, I want to do a social media ad. Since Curt runs a lot of them, I'll just come down here and say, look, I've got all these different ads. Let's do an assessment, a lead magnet, and a third-party story. Let's do all 3. Let's make a Facebook campaign. I'm going to show you how quickly we can do this. And I'll do my weight loss niche again. I could do anything. Again, I could do werewolves. So it doesn't really matter. We have the werewolves thing as a joke, but it's that easy. So now, check this out. Free quick start guide. Who wants to master fitness without blank? Now, I've already got a whole lot of them. It's asking me, do I want to create another one? That's what this means. Nah, I'll just say this because I'm lazy. So in other words, we keep asking you, do you want to add to this machine? Because over time, you'll end up with thousands of different entries, and it's that simple. You could do it in 2 seconds, but you're building this massive niche of knowledge inside your expertise, and it will just keep randomizing it. So every time I send out something new, it will be every time it will be fresh. How to be ignored again. This is a joke, obviously. I just put this in here as a joke. How to lose excess fat. So yeah, so quick start guides, how to lose excess fat. Great. So now I get the next one. Would you like more weight loss? Say, let's change it from body shaping to, would you like more fat loss? discover the easiest way, fat burning assessment. Are you a dieter? Want to increase your fitness? This is pretty straightforward stuff, right? But what about a long one? Now let's just look at this without any edits on my part. I'm not clicking anything. And just read this if you can, and tell me if this sounds like something that a machine could write. Because the other two were really straightforward and simple. That's something that fill in the blank scripts could write. This isn't. This is a different level of copy, guys. I mean, this is a emotionally gripping grind. And guess what? I didn't have to do much at all to write this. It took me literally 5 minutes to fill out this particular template.
I mean, just what I'm reading in the second and third sentence alone.
Yeah.
Like, again, I can barely spell my last name with 4 letters. When we start talking about some of the emotional keywords, grinding your gears, but our thigh fat and love handles got worse.
Right.
The dreams started to fade away. Like, this is, wow.
Yeah. Now how did we do this? How are we able to do this? And how are we able to give you the power to retool things? How are we able to do it? Well, a lot of it is due to what we're talking about today. And we're talking about, going to be talking about with the future of copy and AI, and why, as you can see, if you're a copywriter, you're probably nervous going, holy crap, this is, I can see the handwriting on the wall, but don't be, because I'm going to tell you something that's going to make you really, really happy. But if you're a business owner or an agency, or you're especially now in this time of wild economic upheaval, man, you're about to see over the next 4 months, unfortunately, and this is just terrible, hundreds of thousands of businesses, or thousands of businesses rather, go out of business, probably tens of thousands. A lot of local based businesses, because they're boarded up right now. Okay. They can't sustain this. And so you're going to come into this as a marketer or a copywriter, and maybe you're experiencing this yourself, in desperate need to reach people sitting at home reading words. Or in 4 months, if you want to do a local based business, you're going to walk in and maybe buy that business because somebody else couldn't afford, unfortunately, to keep it open. But you'll have no idea how to freaking market it because you're buying businesses. You're not a copywriter. So that's where you turn to us. And that's what really is really, really cool. Now that's what when we say the future of copy, this is the present of copy, meaning this is what's going on right now as we're speaking today. And I could do anything I wanted to right now. I just created a Facebook ad campaign. It took me literally 10 seconds. I know the ads work because they're taken from some of the best ads out there. So, or I could create a sales letter. I could do anything I wanted to do. And I know that it's going to work well for me because, or at least it's a much higher odds of it working well because it's coming from the best people in the world. And in a minute, I'll show you what the future of copy holds for copywriters. And this is really exciting. But
so real quick on this is, by the way, again, if you are enjoying this interview overall, remember, I don't sell the interviews, but if you do join the belt during open enrollment, you'll get access to all of these interviews. But what I have a feeling is, which many people have done, I mean, basically John was in town with his business partner and we were all sitting down and it's like, hey, let's go out to dinner. We started talking about this. And I'm like, can you stop by my place, John? I'd like to talk about this a little bit more. He started talking about it a little bit more. I got out my credit card, so I bought it. So I'm sure that there's going to be a lot of people here going to do the same thing. So I'll change the link since I can edit this anyway. But it's probably easier just to remember the belt.live/copy pro, because that's really what we're talking about is copy pro. So you can go straight on in. And I'll change the link and I'll edit it down below, whatnot. I'll make it easy. Yeah. So John, I know you have a meeting coming up here in just a little bit, but there are really 2 quick questions I want to get out before this. There's no other way to say this, but like literally you're a futurist. You just got off the phone with a futurist and his company really just talking about, I mean, the future of copy. There's lots of different people watching this, right? People who have no experience in this copy thing whatsoever. Some people want to fine tune those skills. Some agencies right now are looking to turn around their business. So just to clarify what you just showed, who can use it? Beginners, intermediates, advanced, who's the tool for?
If you have a business or if you market a business and you can write a grocery list, those are the 3 qualifications. You obviously don't need to be a copywriter because you saw that the blanks were pretty easy to fill in. But the blanks get really intuitive. And if you get stuck on some of the blanks, we do live coaching every 2 weeks. So we've done that ever since day one. For 4 years, we've done live coaching every 2 weeks. So you can come on live coaching, and our team is awesome. They'll get you through it like this, So because we ask you some things are challenging. In other words, to create really a kick-ass sales letter, there's going to be some things that you might get stuck on. That we're here to help you, okay? But we want you to have that in your arsenal because now more than ever, You need to have the power of copy because the world's turning upside down. The only skill left over that you know isn't going to go away is the ability to sell ethical products. Ethical products. That's what I get for drinking Perrier. Ethical products. I mean, if you don't sell ethical products, then please don't buy this. But if you do sell ethical products, things that really do help people, you're going to need to know how to reach them in a period where they're just really detached from a lot of things right now. And so, and if you're now an agency or copywriter, this is a whole other conversation because we're changing the way copywriting and marketing is done. And I'll preview this for you if you want, Curt. And show you what I'm talking about. This is what you saw is what's live right now. What I would love to show you is what's going to be live in May. Again, it's not going to change the front end of this, so buy it now. It's not going to get, you're not going to. In fact, you're going to get it cheaper if you buy it now. So you definitely want to buy it now. But the back end, imagine this, if you will. What if there was a system that could take the copy that you saw, and rather than me calling up guys and going, okay, hey, I just got off the phone with, he was talking about Peter Diamandis. I got off the phone with his assistant, Claire. And Peter and I have hung out together and had dinner together many times and talked a lot about Star Trek and the future and AI. And he gave a talk a couple weeks ago on AI and mentioned copywriting. And so I reached out to him and he emailed back, goes, hey, I'd love to hear about this. And so now it looks like we might be doing business with Peter's company, which is amazingly exciting. So that's kind of cool. I'll let you know when that happens. But anyway, to circle back to this, imagine if instead of me calling up Peter and going, hey, Peter, can I borrow some of your copy? Or in this case, can you come in and be a part of our team? And me calling up Curt and go, hey, Curt, what's your best Facebook swipes? Or me calling up Frank Kern. Hey, Frank, what's your best cash swipes? Me calling up Agora. Hey, Joe, what's your best closing scripts? Whatever, imagine a group of individual copywriters that are out there right now. They go, I wrote this swipe 4 years ago. It kicks ass. I wrote this sales letter. My client didn't like it and I'm stuck with it. I wrote this webinar. I wrote this VSL or whatever you wrote. Okay. And we could show you how to turn it into anything with a click of a button. Like literally once you learn how to use the system, you can take anything you've ever written and boom, it becomes immediately for sale inside of our platform. And this gives copywriters a brand new way to leverage their copy and complete with the whole rewriting feature that you saw and everything. So in other words, if you wrote something in the BizOp space for, let's say that it was BizOp for Amazon, you could instantly turn it into a BizOp for anything. Or if you wrote anything in the direct response space, like for weight loss, I could turn it into any offer, dog trainer. I could even turn it into a chiropractor offer. Imagine being able to sell it to hundreds of different businesses, hundreds of times. That's what we created. Now picture that model. What do you think that's going to do to the landscape of how people buy copywriting? It's like, it's going to change everything.
Would you mind giving the analogy that you did when we were at dinner the other night when we were talking about Shutterstock and how you spent, what was it, $20,000 on a photo shoot? Would you mind telling that story real quick? Yeah.
So when I owned my ad agency, we did annual reports. And when I had to do an annual report for this one company, I called my photographer, who became a good friend of mine, Marcus. And I said, hey, Marcus, we need your services. Can you give us a bid to do an agency shot? We want like the boardroom and we want the attractive board members and we want the suit and ties and the girls in the executive dresses and, make it look like real wood kind of stuff. Rent the office. Yeah, it's be about 20 grand. Now, when I was talking to Marcus on that shoot, I said, do you know the web is coming out with something called stock photography? And he laughed. He's like, yeah, I mean, it can never do what you're doing here, right? Right?
Shutterstock, yeah, it's a small little company that I think everyone uses.
Yeah, $480 million last year, by the way. So yeah, it became the de facto thing that you go to. And the only time anyone uses photographers is for weddings and art. Like if they do something arty, like they want their own artistic kind of thing. If I need a stop sign, do you think I'm going to call Marcus? But I had Marcus, he billed me for a stop sign once because we didn't have one. So that's how copywriting is going to look this year. Now, this is not like in 2025. This is this year. Copywriting is going to look like that. Hey, I need an email sequence, and you can get 37,000 of them if you go over here. Or that's not literally the number, but get a ton of them if you go over here, and you can look through and go, oh, I want to preview it inside my own profile. I can see my own words inside of it. Yeah, I'll take that one. No time wasted, and you get A-level copy. So imagine what this is going to do to the copywriting world. It's why we are in our second seed round of investors, because people see the future of this as being it's going to change everything. It's going to disrupt it completely. But it's also going to give copywriters the ability to be paid over and over again, because I didn't want to disrupt. I'm a copywriter. I didn't want to like put people out of work. I want to give them a chance to work. So, but that's great for you if you're a marketer or an entrepreneur, because if you've got 1,000 minds in one place, and the odds of you not finding something you like are really, really slim. So
if we got about 5 minutes left,
yeah.
Do you want to show what the future of copy kind of looks like, or where would you like to take it from there?
I will show this.
I know there's certain things you do like to show and there's certain things that you don't, but I'm always excited to see what you're going to show and tell. So I always like to ask and see what you say next.
Yeah. So this is completely proprietary, and I'm not going to show everything because there are prying eyes. But this is, if you just read this, this is a guy that wrote this. And by the way, we've got a whole team of copywriters now going through our first series of what we call Copy Pro Academy. We're going to put thousands of copywriters through Copy Pro Academy. And he wrote this simple little paragraph here and said, hey, he knows all about freelance copywriters. So he wrote this with bullets and all the stuff that if you're a copywriter or a marketer, you've seen this kind of stuff. Details on page 27. I mean, how on earth can a machine use this? How could I use this as a weight loss guy? Right? I mean, this is all copywriting. So, well, we taught him how to take this into this. I'm not going to show you any more than that. But this is AI ready language. And when I do this, I can now use it for copywriting or for weight loss. But look at this. It's the same exact template, but I can rewrite it over and over and over and over and over. So that means one person can download this in weight loss. 10 people could download it, and they're all going to get 10 slight variations of it. So it never looks quite the same. And if their words aren't exactly this, which they won't be, it won't look anything the same. So now I've got a template that we know works because these are vetted copywriters. And now I can use the copy that he wrote for copywriting and make it look completely different for a completely different offer. But guess what? That's cool. And that's great. And they're trained to do that. And it takes them, about 12 weeks to learn the system and how they can do that. So now copywriters can upload their copy into the system. But all of this over here that I'm mousing over, this is all AI ready language. In other words, if I showed you what's underneath this and showed you the details of it, AI would be able to suck it up like in a heartbeat, as opposed to what Presato has to do, which is take this and decode it. Presato has to take this and try to decode it. We already have it decoded, ready for the AI to go. So in the late 2020, we're going to pull in IBM Watson to go out there and scan things and be able to pull in things dynamically. And when that happens, the copywriter will literally be able to start with what he said over here, and we press a button and it becomes this. So that's where we're going to in the future with Copy Pro. That's why we're doing the investment rounds right now. And that's why this is going to be I think the way that the future, everything the future holds for copy is going to be inside the platform.
One thing I want to kind of rephrase that you said too, that I want to make sure that nobody missed, and I learned this from you, is I know that you'll use certain words in your VSL or webinar, either religious words or certain words to really connect with your audience. And a lot of these, like, I don't know what words to use, but as we change as a society, our pop culture words also change. Right. I was reading about this, which was interesting. So for example, in the 80s, you may know this, there was a weight loss pill, AIDS, AIDS.
No,
so when AIDS came out, you didn't want to take diet pill. So, right? Like you just don't know when you're changing some of this copy. So what I've heard you say is you're actually going to team up with some other technology that will help go out and find some of those pop culture words, not to make sure that I'm not using the right ones, but to make sure it's actually making sense to what people are talking about now and not talking about the AIDS diet pill in the 80s. Yeah.
Well, I'm gonna stretch this even further. If you have Copy Pro now, by the way, nothing will change on your side if you have it. By the end of the year, possibly early 2021, because this whole coronavirus thing has obviously thrown off some schedules, but we're going to be able to take what that code is, and you could place that code into, say, your website or whatever. And when someone visits that page, when our AI team has got this all integrated, which again is going to take a year, but picture this: Curt hits the page, and Curt's looking. Let's say that you want to lose some weight, not that you have to, but let's say that you wanted to, right?
I got it. I do.
Imagine something like this: that he's reading a weight loss page, and it doesn't say Curt Maly from Austin, Texas. I mean, that's what cheesy people do right now, right? If you're from Austin, Texas, you will love this weight loss offer, and that's not. Okay, imagine this. If it said, a weight loss so easy. It's like, I'm making this as a terrible headline, but a weight loss so easy. It's like slipping a belt on, and it had belt in all caps. Okay. You're like,
I would be like,
again,
this is like, my story. Yes.
Easier than putting on your belt, and it was belt in all caps. Now, that's not a good headline. Don't take that headline. But I'm trying to think of something I know Curt. And Curt's reading on, and let's say that Curt is always using the phrase, "Man, I am stuck on fat," and that's how he describes himself. I'm not saying you are, but I'm just stuck on fat. And it changes the goals to say, and he knows this because it's on. Curt goes to forums. It immediately AI is able to immediately scan forums, Facebook chats, everything, looking for things that it knows the patterns. Remember, we've got the patterns already down, and it finds stuck on fat. And it goes, look, if you're just feeling, if you're walking around thinking to yourself, man, I'm just stuck on fat. I cannot lose weight to save my life. All of a sudden, Curt's going to be like, what the hell? Did someone write this for me?
Absolutely.
That's the future of copy, and that's what Copy Pro is doing. That's where we're going. So one
last time, it is thebelt.live/copy pro. So thebelt.live/copy pro. I have you a little link down here. Thank you, Mr. Jon Benson. Any closing words you want to say or anything else?
I just wish everyone the best, man. Stay safe during this time. And again, I want to just reemphasize this again, that clearly you can make money with Copy Pro because you can become a copywriter. Then you don't have to go through the years of practice, because you can kind of use this and just leverage it and sell copy. We're going to be educating people on how to do that as well, because a lot of people are just going to be out of work. But we're not hiking prices. In fact, we're discounting prices, and we're trying to give people as much of a leverage as we can during this time, because there's going to be a lot of people that are going to be really struggling. So just a little FYI, that's also coming your way. So best of luck to everyone out there.
Thank you, man. I really appreciate the interview. I can't wait to use this more and hear what other people do as well too. So thank you, Mr. Jon Benson. Man, thank you so much. Appreciate what you're doing for the industry. Thank you.
Thanks, man.
Have a good one. Thanks, my brother.
Bye.